Have you ever thought about where Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, came from? Let's explore the birth of this beautiful country. Uganda was first home to tribes of hunter-gatherers who wandered its broad plains. As the years went on, these tribes changed and grew, forming the first kingdoms like Buganda, Bunyoro, Busoga, and Ankole. Each kingdom was different and created its own customs and traditions, from their languages to their fancy clothes and their royal ceremonies. Then Arab traders arrived. These traders brought new ways of living, religion, and a new way to trade, which significantly affected Ugandan societies. Arab traders first arrived in Uganda in 1845, led by Ahmed bin Ibrahim, who is widely thought to be the first non-African visitor to the Buganda kingdom. The traders were part of large caravans financed by Indian moneylenders and were searching for slaves and ivory. They also introduced the kabaka to the benefits of foreign trade, including imported cloth, guns, and gunpowder. The Arab influence mixed with local customs created a blend that enhanced and spoiled the culture of Uganda. As we can see, Uganda's early history was full of different tribes and strong kingdoms, each with its own impact on the Uganda society. But what happened when people from Europe first arrived in Uganda? The story changes as we dig deeper into the times when Uganda was a colony. It was in the year 1862 when John Hanning Speke, a British explorer, found where the Nile River starts in this green land. This made other European countries very interested, and they started rushing to take control of Africa. By the time we reached the 1900s, Uganda had become a British protectorate, tied closely to the Crown. The British brought in cash crops like cotton and coffee, changing the farming-focused society into a part of the world's trade system. Uganda was changing, and so were its people. While these changes were happening quickly and out of the control of the Ugandan people, another big shift was happening. Christianity came to Uganda with the European missionaries, introducing a new way of thinking about religion and changing the culture of the society further, eventually stripping Ugandans of their indigenous religion. So the time when Uganda was a colony brought about many big changes in the society, preparing the country for what was to come next. But how did Uganda become free from the rule of the colonizers? Let's travel back to the middle of the 1900s, when the feelings of nationalism started to spread across Uganda. This was a time of change, coming together, and hope. Political parties started to grow, each with their own idea for an independent Uganda. Among them was the Uganda National Congress, a strong force against colonial rule. These parties played a key role, encouraging the people and starting the push for independence. In this strong fight for freedom, two leaders came forward, making their mark in Uganda's history. Obote, a leader with a fresh approach, and Kabaka Mutesa II, a traditional king who used his power to encourage his people towards the cause. After years of fighting, their hard work paid off. October 9th, 1962, Uganda finally gained its independence, entering a new time. So what took place after Uganda got its freedom? Changes came like a storm, bringing loads of political problems. The first to lead the new free country was Milton Obote, whose leadership was filled with political conflict and money problems. But this was just the start of a tough time in Uganda's past. Then came Idi Amin, a person whose name would become known for cruelty, or a hero depending on whom you ask. In Amin's time, Uganda fell into a harsh civil war, and the people saw terrible actions against human rights. Amin's rule left a lasting mark on Uganda's history. Next, Yoweri Museveni into power, bringing with him a time of calm. With him in charge, Uganda started to recover and rebuild, trying hard to move on from its rough past. Even with all the problems, Uganda has got better and developed over the past years. This shows how strong and determined the people of Uganda are. So, what about Uganda today? Well, Uganda is a country full of life, strength, and possibility today. Most of its economy depends on farming, but other areas like tourism and tech are also growing fast. Uganda's culture is a wonderful combination of music, dance, and art that keeps changing and growing. But it's not all good. Uganda has problems too. There are issues like corruption, poverty and health problems, especially in rural areas. Even with these difficulties, the people of Uganda never give up. Their strength shows as they work for a better future. The country's culture, seen in its music, dance and art, shows their spirit. It's a living, moving sign of Ugandan people's strength and their wish for a better future. As we've seen, Uganda's past is a story of strength and change, showing the strong spirit of its people. Let's look a little closer at the people who have had a big impact on Uganda, the leaders who have really made a difference in the country's history. First up, we've got Apollo Milton Obote, the first guy to be Prime Minister of Uganda and later its president. Obote's time in charge brought about a lot of political and economic changes, but there were also rumours of corruption and him being a bit of a dictator. His leadership had good and bad parts, showing the struggles Uganda had in the first few years after it became independent. Next, we're looking at Idi Amin, a man whose name is often tied to the troubles Uganda has faced. Amin's rule saw lots of human rights abuses, political repression and corruption. His time as leader left a big mark on Uganda, a reminder of the country's difficult past. Last but not least, we have Yoweri Museveni, the guy who's been president of Uganda since 1986. Museveni's time in power has seen lots of development with better infrastructure, education and health. But his time as president has also been surrounded by controversy, with people questioning his long rule, rumours of corruption and concerns about human rights. These leaders, each with their own way of doing things and the impact they've made, have really helped shape Uganda's history. They show the ups and downs of Uganda's journey, a journey filled with successes and challenges. As we travel through Uganda's history, we need to talk about the big effect Arab traders had. They first came to the East African coast around the 8th century and started exploring the inside parts of Africa, including Uganda. They came with lots of goods, ideas and traditions from their culture that changed Ugandan societies a lot. They came up with new ways to trade and brought stuff like cloth, beads and guns that changed the local economy. The Arab traders also changed a lot about the culture in Uganda. They brought the Swahili language, which lots of people in Uganda speak today, and changed local customs and traditions. Their biggest effect might have been bringing Islam. They were the first to bring Islam to Uganda, and today one of the biggest religions in the country is Islam, with about 14% of people saying they are Muslims. The Arab influence in Uganda shows how different cultures and ideas can change a country and make it what it is today. The Arab traders brought more than just goods. They brought a whole new way of life that changed Uganda in big ways. As we keep learning about Uganda's rich past, we can't overlook the big role that Christianity has played in shaping the country. After Arab traders came, European missionaries started their trip to Uganda in the late 19th century with the aim to spread the Christian belief. The British Anglicans were the first to come, with the French Catholics right behind them. These missionaries brought a new religion, a new language, and a new way of teaching. They built schools and hospitals, giving both education and health services to local people. This had a huge effect on Ugandan society, leading to the spread of reading and Western education and ultimately changing Uganda's future, stripping Uganda of its own religion and language. Christianity quickly became strong in Uganda. The new religion was accepted by the local people, and over time, the number of Christian people grew. Today, Christianity is the religion most people in Uganda follow, with about 85% of people saying they are Christians. The start of Christianity changed a lot in Ugandan society. It had an effect on local customs and traditions, the education system, and even politics. The missionaries' work helped build Uganda's modern institutions and had a big part in the country's growth, which some may argue was not up to the Ugandan people. Just like the Arab traders left a lasting mark on Uganda, the European missionaries did too. Their work in Uganda's society, culture and growth shows the rich and varied past of this interesting country. Before we finish our trip through Uganda's interesting history, it's important to look closely at its cultural wealth, its native languages and religions. Uganda is a place where many languages meet, with over 40 different native languages spoken across the country. The Bantu languages like Luganda and Runyankore are some of the most common. These languages are not just for talking, but also show the many different ethnic groups in Uganda and their lively traditions. Before Arab traders and European missionaries came, native religions were strong in Uganda. These religions were closely tied to the natural world, with spiritual activities often focused on honoring ancestors and forces of nature. Ethnic group had its own special religious beliefs and ways of practicing them, often seen in their rituals, music, and dance. Even though Christianity and Islam are now the main religions in Uganda, the native religions still have an effect on Ugandan society. Many Ugandans still follow traditional rituals and customs, mixing them with the practices of the new religions, making a special religious mix that is only in Uganda. Uganda's native languages and religions give us an interesting look into the country's rich cultural background. They are a key part of its identity, showing its strength and ability to change. As we explore Uganda's history, it is these lasting parts of its culture that really bring its story to life. Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.